Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Ann Taylor, and I'm here today to share some information that I hope you will find helpful regarding long COVID and some techniques that may be of help to you. Today's topic is something that I'm really excited to share with you because my work is really about how to help people empower their own healing journey. And although this is not intended to be medical advice, it is intended to be layered over what your clinicians are already having you do. And what I'm going to present to you today could be a supplemental path layered on top of what your clinician is already doing with you today. So let's get started. Today's topic is about empowering your recovery. It's about sharing information that you can apply within your own life that may help alleviate some of your symptoms of long COVID. So who is this masterclass for? I've designed this short class for clinicians working with long COVID patients to present some of the research findings to them. People experiencing long COVID-19 symptoms, or perhaps had a very negative reaction to the COVID shot, to the vaccination. People experiencing post-viral fatigue in general, and people experiencing post-exertional malaise symptoms. What is your motivation for being here? First and foremost, you may be experiencing fatigue and exhaustion. You may also be experiencing anxiety and depression. Some of you may be experiencing brain fog or cognitive issues, and others may be experiencing sleep problems. Hopefully, you're not experiencing all of these symptoms. Essentially, this course is for anyone who is looking to reduce stress in their life, deal with fatigue, exhaustion, anxiety, depression. And so let's get started. A little bit about me and why I'm qualified to teach you about this subject. First of all, I'm a former senior director of product development for a patient monitoring company. I am a licensed HeartMath mentor specializing in heart coherence and heart rate variability biofeedback. I have an undergraduate degree in biology with emphasis on medical technology. And then in midlife, I became very interested in the mind-body connection. So lots of science in my earlier years, and then really wanting to understand the role of the heart beyond being a pump, and the connection between our emotions, thoughts, and physical health. I've been a presenter on the autonomic nervous system and heart coherence for several years. I'm the founder of the website platform, How to Relieve Stress Naturally. So essentially, that is what is my passion, is to help people bring in modalities that can empower themselves and relieve stress naturally, which helps many conditions. Before I dive into the material, I'd like you to have an experience with me. Allow your feet to be flat on the floor, if you're able, and sit up straight. If you need a chair for support, that's fine. Just see if you can lengthen your spine. And we're going to practice a short 3-minute quick coherence technique. This is a technique designed by the HeartMath Institute. I will time us and I will guide us through this process. Allow your eyes to close if you're comfortable doing so. Focus your attention now around the area of your heart. Imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your chest or area around the heart. Begin breathing a little slower and deeper than you normally do. Just take a few moments to find a rhythm that's nice and easy and comfortable for you. And now, on top of the heart focus and heart breathing, I'd like you to make a sincere attempt to experience, to really get into the feeling of it, a regenerative feeling, such as appreciation or care for someone or something that's important to you. Continue breathing deeply in and out of the heart center. Slow and deep. It may be a pet that you love or a special place that always makes you feel just wonderful. Maybe it's an accomplishment that you're very proud of. Focus on a feeling and feel the calm and ease. Now step deeper, a little deeper into the feeling. Not just thinking about it, but actually re-experiencing it. Imagine you're there. And now begin to bring your awareness back into the room. And slowly open your eyes. And just notice, do you feel a little bit calmer or more at ease than when you first opened up your computer? This is one of the foundational techniques from HeartMath called quick coherence. So why are we here today? What are the learning objectives? What is my hope to convey to you? First of all, let's make sure that we're all on the same page with how we're using the term long COVID and post-exertional malaise. Secondly, I'd like to share just a top level of what heart coherence is and what heart rate variability is. We're going to explore the impact of long COVID on heart rate variability. What is the relationship between the two? And then I'm going to introduce heart rate variability biofeedback as a management tool that can be used for long COVID patients. And lastly, to really understand the benefits of heart rate variability biofeedback. What will it do for you? What can it do for you, really? So we'll start with an introduction to long COVID. I'm using the definition as put forth by the Centers for Disease Control. Long COVID is a wide range of new, returning, or ongoing health problems that people experience after being infected with the virus that causes COVID-19. Now, while most people get better within a few days or a couple of weeks after the infection, when the 4-week mark is hit, that is considered the beginning of long COVID. And so this also applies to some people who may have had a very negative reaction to the vaccine. Some of these symptoms may be the same. There are other terms used to describe the same condition that we're referring to as long COVID. Post-COVID conditions, long haul COVID, post-acute COVID-19, long-term effects of COVID, and chronic COVID. The CDC also has put out a wide range of symptoms that you may have experienced some or many of these common symptoms that go along with it. The most common symptoms are profound fatigue, not just being tired, but a sense of complete exhaustion, sleep difficulties, anxiety or depression, reduced lung capacity, memory, and cognitive impairment. I bolded these first symptoms because they can be addressed with heart rate variability biofeedback. The last two, the loss of smell, shortness of breath, are also other common symptoms that we're going to set aside for this discussion. And the American Medical Association, again, identifies fatigue as right up there as one of the number one symptoms, cognitive difficulties, referred to as brain fog, sleep disturbances, heart palpitations from stress, not from heart disease, depression, and anxiety. And these symptoms can be very debilitating and life-changing, not for the better. So characteristics, there's a persistence of the symptoms. They tend to go on and on and on. There's a broad range. As you saw a couple of slides back, there's a myriad of symptoms that come up. Prevalence. This is not just a small population experiencing post-COVID-19 symptoms for a long duration. Approximately 12.5 million individuals have been affected, and that number could very well be growing. There's a potential for a chronic nature that this simply isn't going away. And it does have similarities to other chronic illnesses, especially triggered by viral infections. And post-exertional malaise is a symptom of severity that even following minor physical or mental exertion, the person can be left just exhausted and unable to do much of anything. And this has been misunderstood as a need for exercise, which may be the worst thing that the person can do. Check with your clinician on that. So what is the role of long COVID? What is the relationship between long COVID and heart rate variability? Well, first of all, many of you may not have heard of the term heart rate variability. It's very simply the fluctuation of time between your heartbeats. We'll get into that a little bit more, just so that you have an idea of what I'm talking about here. Heart rate variability and the autonomic nervous system. Heart rate variability measures the time variation between heartbeats, and it indicates how well your heart can adapt to various stimulation. The role of the autonomic nervous system. Your autonomic nervous system controls your heart rate, breathing, most of the functions that are happening at the unconscious level. It operates in the background automatically without your conscious participation. There are two main branches of the autonomic nervous system. You may have heard of the sympathetic nervous system as the fight or flight response. The parasympathetic nervous system promotes the relaxed response, the rest and digest. So when people have long COVID, it negatively impacts the autonomic nervous system, which negatively impacts heart rate variability, which is a factor in fatigue, making recovery harder. So this cycle goes on and on. Now, for the clinicians who may be listening and others interested, I have come across several research papers. I'm just going to mention them here. I'm not going to go into detail. The links will be below in the description for those who want to investigate further. Long COVID-19 negatively impacts heart rate variability. Key statement, which is an indirect indicator of the autonomic nervous system health. That's a mouthful, right? Long COVID negatively impacts your heart rate variability. And heart rate variability is kind of the canary in the coal mine. It's an indication of how your autonomic nervous system is doing. It is not necessary to understand this to get full benefit from this course. And here's another research article. Heart rate variability predicts outcomes in COVID-19. So the relationship, again, higher heart rate variability predicts greater chances of survival, especially in patients 70 years or older. And low heart rate variability predicted ICU indication, intensive care unit indication, and admission when a person first got COVID. So heart rate variability was used as a diagnostic tool to determine the severity of COVID-19. Another research article, reduced heart rate variability predicts fatigue severity in individuals with chronic fatigue syndrome. There are overlapping symptoms between chronic fatigue syndrome and long COVID, that extreme fatigue. Another research article, alteration of the autonomic nervous system is associated with severity and outcomes in patients with COVID-19. The purpose of me sharing these studies is to show you the relationship between COVID-19 and heart rate variability. Chronic fatigue and post-exertional malaise in people living with long COVID. Here's a study on it. This title is simply saying that heart rate variability was used to assess the autonomic nervous system. Dysregulation means not functioning right. So what are some of the key insights that we can glean from these studies? Persistent heart rate variability changes. Patients with long COVID exist ongoing alterations in heart rate variability, indicating an imbalance in the autonomic nervous system. The sympathetic overstimulation, that's that fight or flight. It becomes overstimulated, and that's very depleting on the body and mind over time. Signs of increased sympathetic activity and reduced parasympathetic, that's that rest and digest. It's as significant as those patients with coronary artery disease. The third point, the severity of the initial COVID infection has a relationship with the event of heart rate variability changes. Nighttime recovery, because there's disturbed patterns in the heart rhythm, the heart rate variability, the person is not able to recuperate as well as they might. They're not getting that restorative rest that's oh so important, trying to pull out of this long COVID. And the symptoms impact daily life. I don't need to sit here and tell you that. I'm sure that many of you listening to this can attest that it has definitely impacted their life, the fatigue, breathlessness, brain fog, and the like. All right, so let's go just a little bit deeper into what is heart rate variability. As I mentioned, it's the beat-to-beat variation of time between heartbeats. And you might be thinking, well, sure, if I run up the stairs, my heart rate's going to increase. Absolutely. But as you're sitting or reading or watching TV, whatever you're doing where there's not a lot of activity, there is a normal fluctuation of heart rate. As you can see, there's a gradual increase in heart rate in this example. And that's really not perceptible to most people. A little bit deeper now, just into the autonomic nervous system. The two branches on the left in the diagram, the parasympathetic, slows things down. Rest and digest. To the right, the sympathetic, it's an activating, dilating the bronchia, the lungs. We need both of these branches of the autonomic nervous system to function. But what's happening in long COVID is the sympathetic on the right is out of balance. It's dominating so that the person doesn't have a chance to rest and digest like they need to. There is also a two-way communication between the organs of the body and the brain. It goes both ways through the vagus nerve. More information comes from the organs to the brain than from the brain to the organs. It's very interesting. Another look at the autonomic nervous system, there is a hierarchy involved in it. And the ventral vagal, again, this may be more detailed than many of you need, but it's very interesting to understand that your autonomic nervous system can be interpreted by you. You can learn to identify what state you're in. The top state, what's the ventral vagal, this is based on the work of Dr. Stephen Porges and his polyvagal theory, we'll just keep it simple. It's feelings of safety. You're feeling good, you're feeling calm, grounded. Again, this is the top, the ventral vagal. This is where you want to spend most of your time. This is the zone of healing. The sympathetic nervous system senses danger. It's a defense mechanism. It's designed to keep you alive. So we go into the fight or flight, anxiety, worry, things speed up. We're in survival mode. And with long COVID-19 patients, they can stay in that mode, and it's very exhausting. Now, at the bottom of the ladder, the dorsal vagal complex it's a mechanism that animals use when all else fails. And it's immobilization, life-threatening. And I think that may be what's being triggered in post-exertional malaise. There's just a collapse. You're no longer fighting or you're no longer in the fight or flight mode. You're in the collapse mode. What can we do about this? Now, part two, we're going to move into heart rate variability biofeedback. We talked a little bit about what heart rate variability is. And the beautiful thing is you can learn to affect your own heart rate variability. We talked a little bit about the relationship between heart rate variability and long COVID. Long COVID suppresses it, but there is something that you can do actually to help optimize and bring back your heart rate variability through biofeedback. Heart rate variability biofeedback targets these specific long COVID-19 symptoms. I had this chart up earlier. The ones where biofeedback can really make a difference is with the fatigue, the post-exertional malaise can be improved, cognitive impairment or brain fog, headaches, palpitations, again, not due to heart disease, but due to stress, sleep difficulties, pain, and mood changes, specifically anxiety and depression. I think that's pretty exciting. The HeartMath Institute, which is very research-driven, has conducted studies. As far as this slide goes, over 14,000 people participated. And in 6 to 9 weeks, improvements were seen. Emotional vitality up, better sleep, more calm, anxiety and depression reduced, fatigue reduced, and anger reduced. Now, will patients with long COVID-19 have these same numbers? I think probably not, because there's such a long way to come up. However, improvements can be made. I like to bring analogies in to make the examples clear. So if you think of a healthy heart, it's like a tennis player. It's always ready. No matter where that ball is delivered on the court, an agile tennis player is ready to respond. Similarly, a heart with healthy heart rate variability, it can ramp up the heart rate and bring it down very quickly. So the heart rhythm patterns are a powerful window into our health, emotional wellness, and the autonomic nervous system. The heart is not a metronome. What do I mean by that? Let's say you go into your clinician's office and your pulse is taken, and let's just say it's average 60 beats per minute. You might think, well, that's 1 beat per second, but that's would be a very unhealthy heart, because there'd be no variability. All the segments would be the same. We don't want that. We want that slow ramp up in heart rate and the slow decline in heart rate. Some of you may have seen an EKG, which is the bottom waveforms in red. Those are individual heartbeats. The heart rate variability is the blue line. It's measuring the change in heart rate. So it's not the morphology of the heartbeat, rather it's the time intervals. Just one more look at it. So how does this happen? When you inhale, your heart rate naturally speeds up. And when you exhale, the heart rate slows down. Your heart, the vagus nerve actually puts a brake on the heart to slow the heart rate down. Here's an example of a biofeedback screenshot from my phone. When heart coherence, and we'll get to that term in a minute, is nice and smooth, you see a nice smooth sine wave pattern, the heart is in a state of coherence. Okay, let's talk a little bit about coherence. I'm throwing a lot of terms at you. I understand that. You can rewatch this. Part of also my strategy is to plant some seeds. Get curious about this, because it can really be helpful to you. Heart rhythm coherence, this is a definition put forth by HeartMath. It's a state when the heart, the mind, and the emotions are in energetic alignment and cooperation. Okay, what does that mean? All right, using another analogy, a metaphor, we have a rowing team. And when the team first gets together and they start practicing, they're not quite in sync. They're not quite in coherence. And so the boat does not go as quickly as it might through the water. As the rowers get more proficient and synchronize their movements, the whole process becomes coherent and they are going through the water quicker. On the right, there is a diagram of a heart that's in high heart coherence. It's a nice sine wave pattern, kind of like a snake pattern, whatever, serpentine, whatever term works for you. And this can come from feeling a sense of gratitude. Your emotions and breath immediately impact your heart rate variability. Immediately. When you feel stressed, as the graph on the left shows, you come out of a nice coherent pattern and it becomes chaotic. Your body is operating less efficiently. On the left again, we see a jagged heart rate variability pattern. And this is resulting from feelings of stress, anxiety, maybe being reactive, mental fog, sleep deprived. So experience the shift is when we apply one of the HeartMath tools, for example. That's why one of the reasons why I started with the heart coherence experience at the front. That would be experiencing the shift. And then the heart becomes more coherent, resilient, re-energized. And the beauty is you can actually watch this happen. Of course, that's the term biofeedback. You can see where you are in a state. When the body, the mind, the heart, the emotions are in a state of coherence, you start to develop resilience. It's almost, you can think of taking energetic coins and putting them in your piggy bank. When you're in a state of coherence, you're conserving energy that might be used and squandered through stress. It's just like a leaky sieve. You lose your energy. Heart coherence gives you more resilience. At the beginning of the day, we all have so much energy. You may not be starting out at 100. Maybe you're starting out at 50. We all want to conserve energy so that we don't get exhausted during the day. Domains of resilience. Now, this is a whole topic onto itself. But the point here that I want to make is there are many factors that contribute to coherence. So any one of these components, if they're off, can lead to lowered heart rate variability. A daily practice of heart rate variability biofeedback builds resilience. Again, just like we practiced at the beginning, heart focus, heart breathing, and then shifting into an emotional state of either gratitude or a positive state will shift your heart rate variability. It's really quite amazing. Is heart rate variability biofeedback training right for you? Do you need more energy? Are you experiencing debilitating fatigue? Do you want to get a better quality of sleep? Do you have the need to build energy reserves? Are you feeling depleted? And do you want to experience more calm, less stress, anxiety, and depression? If you can practice between 10 and 20 minutes a day, there is no physical exercise involved with heart rate variability biofeedback. Consistency is the key. It's not like you can do an exercise once and then forget about it for a few days. Where I find people get off track is not being consistent, because what gets measured gets managed. It takes some discipline and work to practice at anything when you're not used to it. Once you start feeling the shifts, then it becomes, okay, this is making, I'm feeling better. Let's keep at it. There are 3 options that I'm offering here. Number 1, you can do this on your own. I will be giving you a free bonus that will give 4 heart math tools. So you have the tools. Heart Math has made an option that you can use your camera, or you can get the sensor. Okay, I'm not selling the sensors. These are through Heart Math. You clip it onto your ear, and then it communicates with the app on the phone. The second option is I am developing on-demand heart rate variability digital training courses. There will be 4 45-minute plus or minus courses over the course of 8 weeks to really walk you through the process. What do I do first? I will guide you. I will give you, as I did at the beginning, I will walk you through the heart coherence practices. You can record them and listen to them every day. Or for those who really want a personal one-on-one, I do offer coaching for a limited number of people. So your free bonus, I appreciate you staying with me. I know some of this material maybe a little bit dry for some people. I find it exciting, but I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. There will be, okay, so the bonus is a sheet with 4 heart math techniques. So for those of you who just want to say, I can do this on my own, go for it. So for those of you who just want to go off on your own and say, okay, I can do this heart rate variability biofeedback, there are 4 tools for you as a thank you for being with me today. For those of you who would like to join me, I am creating an empowering course designed really to enhance your health and resilience, to be, again, layered over what you're already doing. This is not a substitute for medical advice. The first module, we will go deeper into the science of heart rate variability. I gave you an overview of what it is. It's not, you don't even need to know what it is to get benefit from the practice. But if you're anything like me, if I understand why I'm doing something, I'm more likely to pursue. This second module is key for people suffering from long COVID symptoms, learning how to cultivate emotional regulation. We work at finding where the depleting emotions are. There are specific worksheets that help you walk through where you are getting depleted. It's not always obvious, but just as you will see when you start practicing heart rate variability biofeedback, if you choose to do so, your emotions cause the heart to be in coherence or out of coherence. And so when it's out of coherence, as we were talking about, your energy starts to drain. The third module will go a little deeper into coherence and understanding. The key point here is coherence is not the same as relaxation. Relaxation does not necessarily provide the restorative health balance that you need. A state of coherence allows the nervous system to run at high efficiency. And so by improving your heart rate variability, you're going to achieve higher heart coherence. That's the zone of healing. Relaxation. So this is a topic in and of itself. That is just the highlight, the high point, why it is that way, and how we can know when we're not in the zone of coherence will be a topic of the course. And then the fourth module is a little bit different. This will be a class on yogic breath work in combination with heart rate variability, biofeedback. There is nothing quicker than modifying your breath to calm down the nervous system. And so we'll be doing some fun practices, and you can determine which breathing exercise works best for you. So what do I expect of participants? And again, these will be on-demand recorded lessons. To get the most out of the course, these are the essentials: a daily practice. I expect you to commit to 2 5 to 10-minute practices every day. Of course, watch the 4 on-demand video trainings. Actually do the work, the interactive learning. There will be worksheets to help you really sort out where your energy leaks are. And I recommend that you purchase the HeartMath Inner Balance Coherence Plus tool. And so I'll leave the link below. Again, you get this from HeartMath. Some of you may have Fitbits or other devices that measure heart rate variability. That may be fine. I don't have those, so I won't teach to those. But there's no reason why you can't explore that. So I hope you join me. I hope you join me for the class. There is a registration link below. Whether you join me for the class or not, I sincerely hope that you venture into the world of heart rate variability biofeedback and help you to empower your own healing process. And I'm not here to claim that heart rate variability biofeedback will cure anything, but it will improve your energy management. And with that, then the body can do its best job. Thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful day. There will also be an area that if you would like to send me questions, please do so, the contact form below.